Hello, you're watching Much Ado About Something, and I'm Donna. Well, today I've got an idea for you that you can use for yourself or you can use as a gift this year. I was at my mom's and she can no longer use candles, so she sent those with me, the ones that she had left. And I'm putting them in this pot with water up underneath them, and I have this little thing on the bottom that came from Amazon that just keeps your jars from sitting down on the bottom of the pot. And what I'm going to do with these candles that I've burned here in the fall, I burned most of them away, but there's still some wax left in them. And then the candles that Mama gave me, I'm going to set them down in this water bath, this Bain Marie, and I'm going to get this water hot and get these candles melted. And I'm going to take out the wicks. Now I have saved a bunch of these little containers like this. That wax melts came in. Now this kind of plastic, you can pour your melted wax melts or your melted wax in here and make new wax melts for your burners. Now these I didn't soak off or scrub off the residue from the other wax melts. I just left them as is, and I just took off the labels that were on them. I just peeled off those labels off of those containers, and I'm going to repurpose them. I'm going to repurpose these empty wax melt containers from wax melts that I've used in the past. And I'm going to take these scented candles, instead of burning them and the residue that's in the bottom of them, I'm going to melt these things and pour into these molds. These ones that I've saved, this one still has a little bit of the residue from the wax melt that used to be in it. I'm going to leave that in there because when I pour the hot wax in there, you won't even see that. It'll just melt right into it. Now I've saved a few of these little ice cream cups too because I've used these in the past to pour melted candles into. And then I just take them out and break them into fourths or cut them into fourths. However, whatever size you would need, you could cut them even smaller if you had a smaller wax melt burner and make your own wax melts. And I'm reusing just an ice cream cup. So I've got a few of those, and then here's just some little shapes. I'm not sure if they're for chocolate, for soap, or for wax melts. I guess you could use them for anything you wanted to. They're silicone shapes. I bought these at a thrift store, but I think they have these. You can purchase these online, or maybe at Hobby Lobby, wherever crafts supplies are sold. I think you can use these for chocolates too. But once you use them for soap or candle making or the wax melts, I wouldn't reuse them for food use because they'll absorb the odors out of your candles and maybe even chemicals, so you don't want to reuse these for food. So if you decide to use molds like these, just label these for other use than food. I've got some oils here that I'm going to add to some of my molds when I add the wax, just to give it a boost of extra scent when I put them in the wax melt burners. But you'll be surprised how much the candles, how much scent that they have. And sometimes the gentle warming of them in a candle, in a wax melt burner, releases more scent in a better way than if you even burn the candle. Here's a little bit bigger silicone pan that I had that I used to make chocolate squares, and I have baked brownies in it, but I've just given it over to making wax melts and soaps. So you can use any form of mold that you want to save and make your wax melts, but just remember you want them to be able to break them or cut them in small usable sizes. Now you want to keep in mind most wax melt burners are kind of shallow. They're not real deep, so you wouldn't want to put a real big wax melt in here and it fill up and melt and overflow. So you want to keep kind of small wax melts until you get a feel to how much your burner will hold. Now here, this electric burner that I got for Christmas last year, it's a pretty good sized cup, so it would probably even hold a whole one of these. You know, not that I would put this cup in here, but the wax melt that was the shape of this, I could put a whole one in this deep dish wax melt burner, as opposed to I would just need a little bit, you know, a little wax melt warmer for this size burner. So just as you are picking out your molds and you're thinking about what size to make your wax melts, keep in mind the burner, average burner that you would use them in, or if somebody else, if you're giving them for a gift, keep them kind of small so that they would fit in an average size wax melt burner, candle or electric burners. So just keep in mind to keep them kind of small, or keep them where they can be cut or broken up so that people can fit them in their wax melt containers, their wax melt burners. Now, if you don't want to go through the arduous task of just peeling the stickers off of these type of things right here, these things that you've saved to recycle, you can make your own sticker to go over the top of these, and then you won't have to worry about taking the time to have to peel the label off of your old package. Just make a label that fits right over the top of it, and you can write on it what you want to. Now, as your candles start to melt, you're gonna see some little pieces of wick. Right here's a little, a couple of wicks that was in this one. And you're just going to take those out of your container. And anything else that would be undesirable, like, little black pieces of the wick, you want to take that out. And just continue to let your candles stay in your water bath and melt. Now, you don't want your water level so high that it gets inside of this wax. You want to keep the water out of this wax. This one's floating just a little bit because it's a little bit of a smaller jar than these two here. So just be careful not to get water inside your melted wax. Now, as your wax starts to melt in your containers that you've got in your water bath, you can see this one's melted. You can bring them over and be very careful. If they're very hot, then be very, very careful how you handle these. I'm just going to go ahead and pour some of this wax into these little molds. There wasn't too much wax in this, so it's not real hot. But if it's hot, you want to use some kind of pot holder or a towel, something that'll protect your hands. See, now it's getting a little too hot for me. So let me get a towel. And there we go. I've used all the wax out of this one particular candle. And it made almost a whole little tray of wax melts. Now I'm going to let these cool. And I'm going to save these containers. I'm going to let a little more of that melt off so I can wipe it out, because I'm going to pour my own candles. I'm going to reuse those containers and pour my own soy candles. into these candle jars that I've saved. Now here's the next one that's melted. We'll go ahead and take it out. Protect your hands, protect yourself from the heat. Now I've got this little thing that I got from Amazon. It's right back here. And if you don't think you can safely pour from your jar, just go ahead and pour your wax into a container that's easy to pour from. Which in my case would be this little thing that I got from Amazon that I use to make my salves and other things in. Now you want to be careful to keep your particular scents separated if you're giving them for gifts. And you can see there's a little bit of residue in the bottom of this little pot. I'm just going to wipe that right out. And I'm going to wipe it out so it won't be in my next candle that I make, if you can see it right in here. And I'm going to set that back on the water and keep it good and hot for when I need to use it again. My other candle's in here melted. The pieces of wick are not coming out easily yet. I'll just continue to let that melt until I can get those out easily. And over here I'm going to take these containers that I saved from the candles, because I'm going to pour my own candle, and I'm going ahead and just wipe as much of this wax residue out of here as I can, because I want to reuse this little jar to put another candle in. Sometimes when your jars are hot, it's a really good time to go ahead and take the label off. The old label. Now I'm using this sharp razor blade. If you don't feel safe doing that, then by all means don't. It's very sharp, but it's what I use to scrape off the labels when I reuse jars. And now I have a jar that I can remake a candle in. And I've kept something out of the landfill. And I just get as much of the wax off of this as I can. Now you have to be very careful with all of this stuff that's hot. Now if you want to add a little bit more scent, like this one's hot chocolate, to these hot wax melts that we've just made here, do that while your wax is in this container. And it's a container that you're going to reuse, because it will keep this scent from being in your whole pot when all you want to do is scent a couple of these wax melts. And you want to put that in there while wax melts before they've cooled off. These are already cooled off. They've probably cooled off too much for me to be able to put too much in this one. Now here is some of the wax that's melted from the other candle that I'm going to go ahead and put into this little pot so that I can pour it into my molds. Now it's very, very hot, and I've got to be very careful. It can be very dangerous, and I don't want to burn myself. And back over here to the molds. Making sure you can see what I'm doing. And remember, you want to add your scent. This is apple pie in while it's still melted. And you will want to remember what scent you put in which container. Now, if the wax is scented enough for you from the scented candles, then that's fine. You won't have any added expense of adding any oil. But if it's not, feel free to add a little more scent. It'll freshen these up. Well, here we go. We've got our wax melts poured out here and they've cooled off. Now, wax is easier to clean up when it's hardened than it is when it's melted. So I've got a little bit of wax here in places. And it's just easier for me to just go right ahead and scrape this up. You know, you can make a scraper out of any kind of old, like milk jug or soda container out of a plastic container. You can cut a little scraper. That's great for scraping up this melted wax. Now here's our wax melts that are in our molds. Let me try to get you a really good shot of them. Now I have bought these gift bags that are kind of like this. You know, you get them from Walmart, Hobby Lobby, or any kind of craft store or gift store. And I'm going to take one of these bags with this molds here, the silicone mold that's cooled off. I'm going to go ahead and pop out some of my wax melts. Now you might want to get a little container and save your little pieces of wax because they can be melted into the next little wax melts that you make. You don't have to have any kind of waste. And here they are. There's a little bit of excess wax that are kind of around these if you've over poured, but it's easily cleaned up by just breaking that away. And I'm going to just turn this over and work some of these little melts out of this mold. Look how cute they've turned out. That would be beautiful for a spring scent, wouldn't it? Something floral. These would be good wedding party favors. You know, little gifts that you put at people's table, their table setting. They would be just good little bridal shower gifts or party gifts. If you have a spring or any kind of get-together. We have a ladies' fellowship. And so I like to make little things like this for our ladies' fellowship group and for other groups. And so here are the little wax melts that come out of the silicone mold. And what I'm going to do with these is just put them in this gift bag. Now they're the same color as the cutting board, so it's kind of hard to see them. I had one little extra compartment empty when I had a little bit of leftover wax from these dark ones, and you can put however many you want to in a bag. You can be as generous as you want to be concerning these little wax melt gifts. I'm going to go ahead and use the little tie that comes with these bags. I'm just going to twist these up. And because my bag is a little bit too big, I'm just going to go ahead and trim it off the top. And now that I've got my little bag of wax melts, I'm going to make a little note card that goes on them. Now you can use a fancy already pre-trimmed little tag, or you can make your tags out of recycled paper. This is from the inside of a tea box. And I'm going to make 3 tags out of this. It's from Taylor's Tea, and the inside of their tea boxes are beautiful. And I always save them and I always recycle them. Now I'm just going to take this little inside of the tea container that I made a tag out of. I'm going to punch a hole so I can put my little string through it. And you can cut the little corners off, and that'll make it look more like a tag. So this is our little recycled handmade tag that we made from inside of a Taylor's Tea box. It's got a beautiful design. It's recycled. And we're just going to write apple spice wax melts. And you might want to put somewhere inconspicuous, maybe on the back, do not eat. Because it kind of looks like a piece of candy, doesn't it? It's beautiful. But these are not edible. These are apple spice wax melts. You can use any kind of string you want, or any kind of ribbon. And just tie it on your bag. Now you can pair these with any kind of a little wax melt burner. You know, you'd want to get a nice wax melt burner and just pair it with it and box it up or put it in a gift bag, and this would be a great gift. And these are using all recycled materials right here. Recycled candle, except the bag, but you could save a bag. You wouldn't have to buy bags. We made the tag, and we made these delicious smelling recycled wax melts to give as gifts. And of course you can give your bigger ones. And you can also stick these, of course that needs to be cleaned up a little bit better, but you can stick these in a little gift bag and do the same thing. And of course these would be adorable, wouldn't they? These are the darker ones. They still smell really good. And you could fill a little bag full of these and put on a gift tag. And that would be a really nice gift. Well, thank you for letting me share with you how to make homemade wax melts for gift giving or for yourself. You can make a gift of them to yourself. I appreciate you letting me share this with you today. Like always, until next time.